To go back to that story we tried to bring you before about the ruling Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Hamad bin Khalifa Al Thani, who's announced his abdication and says he'll transfer power to his son, Crown Prince Tamim. And this report comes from Roee Ruttenberg.
Putting the final touches on Qatar's new flag, ahead of the announcement of Qatar's new leader. For months, the Emir of this oil-rich Gulf nation and his heir, Sheikh Tamim, had been preparing for what they had hoped would be a seamless transition, a transition that has now begun. Khalifa Al-Haroum is a prominent young Qatari blogger.
When you have a young person, taking over, you've got that ambition, you've got that hope. And I think that's what also, the people actually start to feel too, like, oh, there's hope that maybe things will move a little bit faster.
But what does that mean for Qatar and for the region?
Qatar is actually locked into a number of policy decisions that have been involved in investing billions of dollars in infrastructure and social programs and welfare. So those can't be changed overnight. But what I do expect is that Tamim, while he's bedding in, will focus less on foreign policy.
In recent years, the outgoing Emir has funded much of Egypt's transition to democracy, publicly backing the country's Muslim Brotherhood. He's also given millions of dollars to the Palestinian Islamist group Hamas in Gaza. And just last week, in the hopes of facilitating direct talks between the Americans and the Taliban, he allowed the Afghan group to open their first official office in 13 years, right here in Doha. Under his leadership, Qatar also played a key role in the toppling of Libya's Muammar Gaddafi. But perhaps most notable over the last 2 years has been the Emir's direct support, even arming of rebels in Syria, fighting to oust President Bashar al-Assad.
Initially, when the Syrian conflict first broke out, Qatar was very ambivalent as to what to do. But now I think it's clear that there is a personal breakdown in relations, which has reflected very much in the policies that Qatar is pursuing.
But the Emir's nearly 20-year rule has not been without criticism. Political parties are banned, as are demonstrations and trade unions, despite the Emir's backing of democratic reforms abroad. Not much is known about the younger Al Thani. He received a military education in the UK, like his father, but returned to Qatar to complete his studies. Now, it is worth pointing out that the new flag flying above the palace, agreed to by father and son, has a slightly different shade of coloring, a hint, perhaps, to the desire for subtle changes ahead. Roee Ruttenberg, CCTV in Doha.